is at odds.
That Terrence Howard stuff has completely captivated me. I've been showing it to Jackie. Terrence Howard, he seems to be really into physics and math, right? But the thing is, it's really fun to know things and it really sucks to learn things. Like learning is hard. Going to school, doing math equations, rocking stuff like that is just exhausting and brutal. But watching fucking somebody else's Cosmos YouTube video is fun, right? So that's the level that Terrence Howard understands these things. And he starts throwing together terms from left and right in an effort to defend his point. Yeah. Say that again.
They did a second show with Joe, and they brought a real scientist on to sit next to him.
I watched it.
I hope that the scientist just enabled and was like, "That's
yes, he did." He did. He so Terrence Howard would repeat like one thing that made sense and a whole bunch of bullshit in there. Like he was trying to prove that math was fundamentally wrong. And along the way, for example, one of the pieces that I did understand is he's like, that's the problem with the Dewey Decimal System. The Dewey Decimal System says that a couple of times. What he's trying to say is that decimals are somehow incorrect and don't work. But he's referring to the catalog system that libraries use to divide fantasy from biology.
We all remember
tell me you're old. Tell me you're old without telling me you're old. I know how to use the Dewey Decimal System.
I remember I was like the last age to learn it, and even in that time, I'm like, "What are we doing? Like, like the internet's clearly here to stay."
We were too poor.
Back in my day, the card catalog was how you found everything, and you didn't have to memorize the Dewey Decimal System. It was posted everywhere, but you did use it. And just like along the way, every so often, I'll like understand what he's at. He would say he'd take the periodic table of elements, and then I forget what he was using exactly. Maybe the weight or something.
The atomic weight.
Was it the atomic weight? And then he would like square it, and then he would put a note that he calls the key, right? So he's like, this is in the key of E. He doesn't mean the key. He means like the frequency that E happens. And he's presenting it as if he's discovered something amazing. I can take the atomic weight of carbon and express it, and it's an E. And then I take the atomic weight of oxygen and I express it, and it's a G. But boron and carbon have the same key, which he means note. And I'm like, this is fucking bullshit. You can take anything, use its number, and express it as a note. Like it has a hertz. I can go to the grocery store and grab prices off the shelf and be like 333 megahertz is some key. I don't know what the fuck it is. This you can take the price of chicken, eggs, whatever. The thought that you take the weight of an atom and turn it into a note and like you've done something. I can go through the Dewey Decimal System and tell you what key fantasy is versus science fiction. That's the same thing.
Yeah, there are other scientists who have sort of taken him down or really just replied to him politely, if anything, and spent an hour and a half at a time refuting his ranting and raving and nonsense. And it's like you said, Woody, it's the problem is I think that you see this a lot with actual crazy people. If you look at those scribblings they'll have in their notebooks, it's like, what? This looks like something.
There's a lot of math, emblems in here. Maybe it is something.
This looks very official and also insane at the same time. And that's kind of how Terrence Howard strikes me. I wish he'd just be a goddamn actor. He's pretty fucking good at that. I wish he'd stop being a crazy person.
He's got like all the crazy of Ted Kaczynski and none of the math background. Like,
I wonder, is he still
crazy like a fox?
Is he still acting well?
I haven't seen him do anything in a very long time. Of course, like I think he did like one of those black TV shows that's super popular, but it's not my jam. I think maybe he was on that Juicy Smoulier show with him, something like that.
Maybe.
That sounds right.
Perhaps. But I remember him from back in the day when he was in Hustle and Flow, where he's like a pimp, but he's a rapping pimp who's trying to get out of the pimp game and into the rap game. And it's really good. It's really good. And he's good in it.
To that.
My vibe is he's currently a crazy person who needs meds or something. Like he doesn't seem to know that he's crazy and needs to be on meds. And I'm not sure you could hire him today and get a good performance out of him.
I think the crazy helps with the performances somehow because like Gary Busey was arguably demented his entire career.
Yeah.
Now
wasn't he in a motorcycle accident?
Yeah, he was
crazy.
Well, that's So yeah, he had a motorcycle accident without a helmet. I was told once that he just fell over, like he dropped the bike and went with it, and that's all it was. But who knows?
No, he died like Country Man.
There's
Didn't
probably
his face get altered.
his brain got opened up. He
But
got permanent, real brain damage, and they let him keep acting. And he was always like kind of a real high intensity, kind of almost goofy a little bit, like on the somewhere between like rageful and goofy is where he'd be. He'd be like, and then he had that brain injury, and it was clear that there was a retarded man acting in a movie now, and it was weird. It was fucking weird. What's that movie where he dresses up like a woman with a lipstick and everything? He was pretty good in Lethal Weapon. I think it's two. I think he was Mr. Joshua.
That motorcycle accident was the
one.
real deal. His face became visibly asymmetrical.
Yeah.
From it. And so
Yeah, but they let him keep acting. He did this one movie where he's like a man with like a dog inside his body, so he's like barking and running around.
You gotta let him keep acting after an accident like that. What's he gonna go do? Work at a bank? Like,
that's a good point.
He's got to keep acting. He's got to play pretend for a living. But anyway,